No Thank You by Little Simz. It's one of those like sneak releases that came out at the end of last year. It is 10 songs, 50 minutes long. We're going to definitely call that 50 minutes long. And Little Simz has been one of the really interesting artists to watch over the past couple of years because she has developed into, like an indie darling out of England, into an artist who has really come out of her own, who's able to contribute onto a bunch of different songs, who's able to do her own thing. And I think that really culminated in Sometimes I Might Be Introvert, the album that came out last year in 2021. So yeah, well, technically, we're going to be technical about it, right? This album we're reviewing, No Thank You, came out in late 2022. So yes, it's 2 years ago, but No Thank You technically came out 1 year after Sometimes Might Be Introvert. So let's say 1 year, 1.5 years, we report, you decide truly on that one.
Pretty closely spaced, I would say.
We nominated that for one of our albums of the year, but one of the things that kind of hit it for me was the fact that 2021 was a year that marked a shift in a number of different things in this podcast, but one of them especially was the fact that we started to shorten albums down. The fact that we started to appreciate shorter, succinct moments. And Sometimes I Might Be Introvert was a very challenging thing. Because on the one hand, it was a short, succinct album. Its moments really hit. You had really good songs, but it was a concept record. And so a lot of the
still an hour long.
Yeah, the conceptiness really made it nebulous in how much we could really dig into it and sink our teeth into it and really enjoy it. And so, all of that being said, I think that No Thank You answers a lot of those qualms that I had with Sometimes I Might Be Introvert.
Absolutely.
It's the same level of quality. Actually, better quality, which I didn't think was possible, which was definitely not a complaint of Sometimes I Might Be Introvert, but it's shorter. It's more succinct. It does a little bit of, sneaking around by saying okay, we're going to insert those extended interlude parts into other songs, but that's what we said could have happened. You have some longer songs on here. Some of these are things that are charting the 7-minute marks, but as long as you are incorporating them into a piece and that piece also happens to fit within an album, God bless. That's good. And Little Simz somehow within our Audioface, we really hate to consider this point, but December 12th, 2022 might be the earliest point what we have considered a potential album of the year nominee for Audioface 2023. Maybe 2024, depending on how we market it. But your thoughts, Sean? I'm really interested.
Yeah, I think it's I really liked Sometimes I Might Be Introvert in 2021. I really enjoyed that record a lot. But there's some qualms I have and that's with anybody who does it. If you have a lot of interludes and stuff, I prefer interludes to be either scrapped entirely or even mixed into tracks. Because I really like it where you have tracks that flow into one another, even if they are longer. Example, one of my favorite bands is Sigur Rós. They make 11-minute goddamn songs, but because they create these ambient sounds that really are controlled and they lapse into other tracks. That's what makes those records beautiful. And she does that with No Thank You. And example, Angel, the first track is almost nearly 6 minutes long for opening track. And
love Angel.
Yeah. And the way it really blossoms to such a beautiful track where the beat is really simple. It's almost angelic, with the sound, and you get that throughout the record too, which I'll tap on a little bit more as well. Her flow is really good, the lyricism is amazing, but what I love most about the whole record is it sticks with that thing, that angelic sound, that choir in the background that really loops a lot of these tracks together. So the second track, Gorilla, it's a little bit more in your face with that, but it's also then it kind of pairs back. It goes more in your face, pairs back, and it has that choir. that loops it to Angel and then loops it to the third track, Silhouette. And then Silhouette, like the last 2 minutes, 3 minutes of the track is really just it's just all instrumentals with a little bit of a choir going in the background. And I like tracks that are like that, where they really develop and blossom and they sound great and they can really loop and bridge into other tracks and other ideas and projects. So that way it's not stagnant and it isn't broken up into sections or broken up into a part one, part two. It's this beautiful transition that I feel like we're almost missing a lot because we are so focused on creating shorter records, so focused on creating shorter sounds, shorter songs, which is one thing. And I like that a lot of times, but you know, my two favorite bands, Radiohead, Sigur Rós, make long ass songs, but that's because they know how to control it. They know how to make it without making it the typical, you know, 2-part song, which we've been getting so much that is very overdone, overblown, overused now, where you have a part one, part two in one track, and it might only be 3 minutes. Silhouette is 6.5 minutes long, and it's the same track, and it just billows. This choir just keeps going in the background, and it's beautiful, and it pops right into No Mercy, and that's how you get through this record.
Can I jump into No Mercy? Because like,
absolutely,
I love all of the heady, you know, like conceptual stuff about, you know, Sigur Rós and all these international artists who are able to build and go across all these different conceptual musical things in a way that, you know, really pushes art itself. But I like me some bangers. All right. So like the thing is that like what we found in doing this podcast so long is that like it is hard to, especially in a rap context, be able to demonstrate depth and growth while also doing simplicity, while also providing what rap and R&B kind of responds, which is like, what are the things that sell? What's the sensuality? What is like the danciness? What is the stuff that's like high energy? Like this genre of music requires so many cylinders to be hitting at the right moment at the right time. And even if you're doing them all correctly, that does not even guarantee that you get some type of success that is recognized when it deserves to be. Like, Little Simz is definitely one of those artists who does not get the flowers that she deserves, like 100%. And that is not out of because she doesn't deserve it. That's like out of, you know, I can't really understand it, but definitely, you know, like business shit, right? But like when it comes down to the fact, like you get to the song like No Mercy is track 4, she's doing the bangers, she's doing the hits, she's doing like the stuff that is introspective and gets you like deep and really gets you in your feelings. She's firing on all cylinders here, and it's really her best stuff. It's like from that old Boondocks quote, it's like the sweetest taboo, you are in rare form. Like it is, this is the best shit that she has done, really. And like, all I can really say is that I really hope it gets the recognition that it deserves, because it is so like, good. It is setting rap music on what may honestly be a better foot than it deserves to be in this year.
It's
because like this is beautiful record, this is sorry last thing, this is Kendrick Lamar level shit right here, right? This is good stuff. This is like Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers level stuff. All right, if you appreciated that, you will appreciate this, and you will also appreciate Sometimes I Might Be Introvert, honestly, which came out before Mr. Morale. If I believe it, it did. It came out before Mr. Morale and covers many of the same topics, right? So this is that same vibe. It needs to be just as popular. If you're one of those people who not only says these things, but allows these things to be seen on your timeline that are like, okay, rap music is dying. Like, oh, there isn't a lot of substantive stuff out of there. It's because you are not giving Little Simz the flower she deserves.
And not even just Little Simz. There's a ton of artists out there that aren't getting what they deserve too. So, but the way that she conceptualizes this record and like, you know, skipping ahead to the latter part of the record, example, a track like Who Even Cares, it has this funk groove beat with it, and this really cool electronic sound that's mixed in it with too, that she's experimenting and trying to push her sound further. And even though it's spacedly close from her last release, there are two very different albums, two very different projects. And even though it's only like a year and a half between releases, not even a year and a half, that she's grown in that sound. She's grown in her ideas and the production in that. And that's something that we want to see. That's something we want more artists to do. And in a rap context, even going back to our early reviews of with rock and everything, talking with Mainskin, there is a lot of good rap. There's a lot of good rock. There's a lot of good indie that is out. It's just you have to give these artists time. You have to give these people your time to listen to their full projects, listen to their entire records, because that's where you get to really listen to the art. You get to enjoy the art and really digest what their project was all about. If you just want to have like one thing here or there, really flashy stuff, then you're missing the whole point. And that's, why we do this podcast is for that. And No Thank You is, the epitome of why we like to listen to records, why we like people to divulge, get your wrap your head around an entire project, an idea. And Lil Simz just knocked it out of the park. It's such a good record. You're going to enjoy it a lot.
Yeah, I feel pretty good about that. Arbitrary scale. We do arbitrary scales every single week on Audioface because our review is our review. And if you have a problem with that, I can't say that on YouTube. So, God, what a goddamn nanny. Anyways, this week, the arbitrary scale is right-wing pundits who are worth less than $50 million, according to Steven Crowder's little tantrum. By the way, it would be so easy for both of us to sell out and become right-wing pundits.
Oh, dude, I get a house in the hills, dog.
I'd have a helipad. We'd be balling.
We'd have syndicate jets, but I wouldn't even have to be a pilot anymore. I would just have my friends.
Quick hops.
I'd have my friends. I'd have my friends fly us.
Easy flying. It's so good. But until then,
we got morals.
We've got morals and got the jerseys to prove it. This is gonna be. Am I allowed to go into the classics?
You can do whatever you want as long as they're less than $50 million. Like, I wanted to say Dennis Prager, but I know he's more than 50 mil, so I have another one.
I mean, we're not adjusting for inflation, but if we're going back, Bill O'Reilly's contracts were less than $50 million, which is my entire point. Sorry, I need to turn my volume down here because I'm going to start screaming here. This is my entire point! Bill fucking O'Reilly never made $50 million. So why the fuck would you believe Steven Crowder deserves $50 million? Even in inflation, you must be high.
I don't think Tucker Carlson makes $50 million.
It makes no sense. It makes no fucking sense. I literally can't believe it. Anyways,
that's yours. Mine is a one James Dore, a one Jimmy Dore of the Jimmy Dore Show is worth less than $50 million and is an extreme right-wing pundit commentator. There you go. That's how good this album is.
I forgot to put him in the running for right-wing commentators, but yeah, fair, balanced, and unafraid. Okay. I got a little bit more animated than I expected to in that segment, and I got nothing to say for that. Anyways,